Once more, it is time to gather up Gotchard. We're talking about episode 31 because it came out this week, like we do every week. We talk about Kamen Rider. Wahoo! It's what we do. That's the thing on the channel. We we jump back into the fight from that into the last episode. Rinne is fucking not in her right mind. Hotaro's frozen waist down, and the transfer girl is frozen solid on the other side of the area. When Professor Minato shows up and goes like, "Hold on, she's still alive," and Rinne's like, "Oh, thank God I didn't let someone die," and she gets a second wind for herself, and is able to Hinshan team up with Hotaro and beat up the Blizzard guy. Get the whole thing, and everything's the whole situation's kind of figured out. We did it. She's safe. They're able to use the sun. Rinne's able to use the sun power up to melt the transfer student, so she's all good and hunky dory. Meanwhile, a couple other things are happening. Latchus is having ramen with Kayaka. Kayaka? It's been a minute since I said her name. You know who I'm talking about. And she goes like, "Oh, no, I don't need to eat." And they're just trying to have and Kayaka is trying to get information for what's going on, and she's like, "Oh, probably the Abyssalisk King," and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, "Oh shit!" So that's the big stuff we're having to deal with. While Atropos is cooking up her next scheme, right? We are at them rehearsing for Romeo and Juliet, and Transfer Girl hadn't shown up because she was sick or something. She just wasn't there. So Rinne, having a little bit more confidence in herself because of the whole fighting back stuff, was like, "I'll do it," because she's also like resolving herself into her friendship or relationship with Hotaro, all these different kinds of little elements. We'll get to those in a moment, but that's when the transfer girl shows up. She runs off and up on the roof, and Rinne also goes there, but it's mostly Hotaro in the scene, kind of going like, "Hey, I know you, like, we're childhood friends, but, like, any issues we currently have need to be put on the back burner, because we're trying to help someone else out. That's what we're doing." And she's like, "You're right, and that's what I really like about you, Hotaro," the transfer student. "That's what I really like about you, Hotaro. All right, I'll drop all this for the Romeo and Juliet stuff." And that's when Atropos shows up and starts attacking. Oh no. Right? And Valvarad tries to stop him because he's been protecting the school to an extent. But he gets trapped in what we'll call an ink dimension with an illusion. And he cannot break the illusion. He gets bodied. So, Hotaro and Rinne tension, do all this stuff. Transfer Girl sees it and goes like, "Oh, that's why they're so close. They're both Kamen Riders, and they do that kind of stuff. Okay, I get it." But Hotaro and Rinne get trapped in the ink blot dimension, and basically, they're not in a dimension, they're being obfuscated. They're seeing illusions, and they're seeing the enemy as the other person, and the actual other person as the enemy, and it's just very confusing, especially without prior understanding. And that's when Rinne figures out, okay, I have an idea. And she basically just yells out, "Hotaro, fucking attack!" And he's like, "All right, Rinne, I heard your voice. I'm trusting you." He ramps up a rider kick. He does a rider kick. The illusion is broken, and he sees that Rinne is falling to the ground, seemingly dead. Partially because the Kraken guy is like, "Haha, you killed her!" And the light on her suit is going away. But they don't know the real trope of tokusatsu, that when you get hurt or you die, you get out of the suit. They don't know the tropes. But the bad guys are acting all cocky. Haha, that's all that kind of stuff. But then they get attacked. Well, they're not looking, and Rinne shows up and goes like, "Ha, that was part of the plan." Because apparently the eclipse was such a big thing internationally. I know it was a big thing in America. There was a lot of talk about it. But they literally bring up an eclipse. She uses the power of the moon to hide her son, to make it look like she had died, and get the upper hand on the bad guys. They're able to do so. They destroy a part of the Kraken's power, all that kind of stuff. It's a big fun fight. They win the day. Atropos skulks away being mad, and Rinne and the transfer girl go like, okay, we have come to an understanding. You are a good person, all this kind of stuff. And they're all like, yeah, we're friends now. Yeah. There may be more to it. We'll talk about it in a second. Minato comes in and goes like, hi, sorry, we have to mind whammy you. And we get a little bit of clips of them putting on a Romeo and Juliet for the school. And with a voiceover basically going like, hey, we put on the show. The transfer girl was like totally okay with Rinne taking on the role. And we see her from the wings going like, oh, she's doing a great job. But you know, I'll be there for Hotaro, that kind of stuff, you know. And it's good, it's fun, and the theater club's saved because they were only wanting to recruit 5 people, and they were able to recruit 15. That's fun, that's great. The final scene of the episode is Spanner working on his big toy sword. And Locke's just running up and going like, hi, I have my own version of your big toy sword. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And Kayaka shows up and goes like, hey, so we need as many hands on deck as we can, and she's strong, so I gave her a weapon. And Spanner's like, we have no reason to trust her. And Minato's like, yeah, sure, but like if she gets out of line, I can get her. So it's not a big deal. Rinne in this episode, these 2 episodes are very Rinne focused. It's very much about cementing her resolve and her trust in Hotaro, right? Because last week we were talking about, oh, is this her coming to an understanding of maybe her feelings are romantic, maybe they're not, maybe they are platonic, and just trying to like reason with herself of what they are. Ultimately, Rinne in this episode cements the idea of like, it doesn't matter if they are romantic or if they are platonic. She trusts Hotaro. Hotaro and her are a team. They work together. They care about each other. So long as they trust and understand each other, they are able to win. They are able to save the day because they're good guys, right? And because of Rinne's trust in Hotaro and Hotaro's trust in Rinne, they're able to win the day and get one over on the bad guys. And ultimately, the transfer student, the new girl, learns and kind of trusts Rinne as a result as well. But also just goes like, you are, also trusts and understand Hotaro. Just like, hey, you're Hotaro, you're doing what you feel is right. And all this, like, they realize that the inner drama that could have erupted is not as important as the possibility of the friendships they can forge. You know what I mean? But I want to just say this. It does not preclude the idea that any of these characters could be involved in romance, right? It does not preclude the idea that Rinne and Hotaro could find themselves in a romantic situation, or that Hotaro and the transfer student could find themselves in a romantic situation. It does not preclude it. It's just more of saying like, hey, it doesn't, them working together isn't predicated on romance. It's predicated on trust and caring about each other. And whether that's platonic or romantic, it doesn't matter. That trust is all that matters. Yeah, it's a pretty dang good episode. A lot of Rinne just being a badass all throughout. Good fight scenes. Like, she got her emotional shit kicked in last episode. But this episode really overcame a lot of that. She looked badass. She had a lot of good fight scenes. She worked well with Hotaro. A lot of good double team bits. The Kraken suit was cool. I liked a lot about that. I like how they cut off the head in half to beat him. So, we got the big bad monster, big thing that they got to deal with. The Abyssal King. I wonder how connected the Abyssal sisters are to it. Are they like Hellboy and they're the key to bringing it forth or something like that? Who knows? But also we have no, wait, that's what I was trying to say. Maybe the Abyssal King is an ancient homunculi, you know? Because we've been talking about homunculi of, like, are the Abyssal Sisters that, right? And we get a little bit of confirmation on that this week with Lot just going, like, I don't need to eat, you know, that kind of thing. So maybe the Abyssal King is some form of homunculi. Or maybe it's the thing that can cause homunculi of some kind. Who knows? It's very interesting. Could be a lot of things going on there. And with Lotch just getting the new, getting a Valvarad sword, could she be a classic Valvarad? Could like Kamen Rider Valvarad be a thing, but Lotch just get the Rider Warrior suit, right? The Kamen Warrior suit. Could that be a thing? I don't know. It could be fun. She doesn't need it, but I can definitely see this whole situation causing them to get closer to each other or at each other's throats even more, because it is their dynamic is fun and I like seeing it. Yeah, good episode, good action, good acting, pretty overall solid in a lot of aspects. You know, it's also solid in a lot of aspects. My social media presence on the internet. Jesus. You can like, comment, and subscribe on this video. You can also follow me on a variety of social media platforms. Links are in the description. And if you like videos like this, or do you want to see video essays early, or if you want any other smattering of content that I make, you can always go join the Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get an extra video a week where I talk about a different Kamen Rider season. I'm currently talking about Agito. And also, if you join for free, you get other free little goodies. So you can just join and become a member. It's all good. And finally, but not leastly, we have some comments. First up, from Fishpop. Yeah, I saw a lot of people were kind of doing the DiCaprio point meme at the comedy duo and saying, oh, it's a Don Brothers cameo. Cool! I did not watch Don Bros, so I have very little frame of reference. But yeah, no. Clotho and Spanner having a cool fight was great. It was also funny to just see Clotho just... They know where the building is, so they can just show up whenever. They just don't, out of a courtesy, apparently. And while Majade didn't get a new form this episode, I still think they're building up to something. I'm hoping. I would be slightly upset if Majade only gets 2 fucking forms. It wouldn't be great. Next up, from Permanently Paper. Yeah, I can understand thinking that the romance comes out of nowhere. To me, it felt less framed of like, oh, we're going to a romance, and just more of like pointedly asking Rinne as a character of, hey, what is your relationship with Hotaro? How do you feel about this man? And her trying to like realize what she wants and what other people will want, and trying to find her place in the whole thing. You know, it's an interesting thing, and I think it's valuable to understand if you're talking about empathy a lot, to understand of like, why do you feel bad when other people are a part of your friend's life, you know? And asking those questions is valuable. It may lean more romantic as we go on, but I don't think this was saying romance. I think it was more of like, hey, how do you actually feel? You know? It was more of a question. That kind of thing. And next up, from just some random guy. Yeah, I can understand being kind of taken aback by a lot of the stuff that happened in the last episode. It was very much set up for the episode we just finished talking about. And it doesn't help that they were asking a ton of big questions about the characters that should be reasonably explored. Like, hey, what are your actual feelings about this character? All this kind of things. And I understand, like, people, like, I'm not saying you, just some random guy, but people in general might not want a romantic relationship between Rinne and Hotaro, but I think asking the question isn't a bad idea, you know what I mean? And finally, from Esconde. Yeah, we got a breather, and we start the last episode feeling like it's going to be continuing light and fluffy, but then it's like, hey, no, actually, the characters are going to start questioning their places in each other's lives, and what does that all mean? You know, we went from happy Goof Town to no, question your empathetic relationships. And this episode does end it on a good note of like everybody gets along in the end and everybody comes to an understanding. But like, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit of a one way than another. And like I said in the last video, you bring up a lot of things of the Abyssal Sisters. It definitely feels like they are a family who is dealing with abuse, who are trying to like understand and like compartmentalize what that abuse that they were going through actually means. They're dealing with the trauma. So we have Atropos doubling down, going like, no, they did nothing wrong, the abuse we suffered is fine. And you have Clotho just wanting her family back, and you have Lotch just going no contact. You know, it's interesting to see, especially as like we're going through the main show being about empathy, but the villains are very much about like what was it that I said? Empathy and nihilism? No, nihilism wasn't it. You know what you can go back a few videos and see what I fucking meant. But yeah, good episode, good thoughts. We're having a lot of thinks about the characters, and that's all cool. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel so you can see videos like this and many, many more. And I hope you have the goodest of days. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters, Esconde and Scott Firestein.